when they talk, they are not being heard.
So, and I think before I answer that question, we need to correct a perception that is ongoing here, that being a child predisposes you to criminal activities. No, it does not, because you're a child, because you're not an adult. So when you're a child, you must be a law-abiding child. So when you're not law-abiding, we call you a child in conflict with the law. And children in conflict with the law, there is how they're dealt with. The law is very clear about, and I think I see some alignment from all what the psychologists are talking about in terms of at when you're a child, you're not fully developed, you're not mature, so that even before the law has not started considering you as a person who can contemplate, or can understand the consequences of criminal activities and so on and so forth. But there are limits to it, because in Kenya, for example, when you're above 12, between 12 and 17 years, you can be processed in the criminal justice system, only that you will be processed in the criminal justice system for children. But it does not exempt you. I think that needs to come out very clearly, so that children are not thinking that they are insulated. They are insulated from punishment just because they are children. No, they are not. They will actually face justice, just like anybody else. And now back to your question is about what I had explained earlier, that we need to interrogate ourselves. Are we bottling up children? Are we bottling up children, and when they burst, now is when we react? And that's what I called gaslighting. That we do not listen to you, we do not care so much about your feelings, we do not care so much that the stage at which you are in, I have seen people calling children very bad things, that they're entitled brats and so on and so forth. And I think honestly, we are the mothers of these children. If you told me to tell you who my child is, I will tell you who my child is based on the interactions that I have had with that child. But we also must agree that when that child goes to school,
away from you,
away from me, because of what Madam has explained here, that they are not fully developed, they are more susceptible to peer pressure than anybody else. You can actually be able to take a stand as an adult and say, no, I will not do that. But the ability of our children to do that is compromised by the developmental stages that they are at. So we need to have these conversations from also an empathetic point of view. And even probably sometimes I tell my children, even I was an adolescent at some day, and there are one or two things that I did that I'm not proud of today. So the things that I did that time, probably if it was this dispensation where there's a lot of access to so much, and even the crimes that we were doing during our time, we were stealing sugar. Those are the things that we did. We were stealing sugar, and it was really severe, to steal sugar. But right now, they cannot steal sugar. Sugar is readily available in our house. I mean, nobody even bothers really about. It's not a big deal. So they have now moved to other things. So we need to also, and that's why we think a lot of the problems that we see in education, we also still narrow back to funding and financing. Where is the guidance and counseling and the psychological and the psychosocial support in our schools? Somebody who can be able to even explain to parents when they come for parents' days. But what do we do in parents' day meetings? Instead of taking that opportunity to bridge these gaps between our parents and our children, we ask more about money. It's about money, it's about money, it's about money, it's money this and money that. But because that is the opportunity that we have, that we can be able to address all our children together and their parents seated down. So there's quite a lot that, and I think that this is not a bad problem that we are having. There's opportunity. If we can use this situation in the right direction, in the right way, we can stop, all of us, and wonder, how exactly do we want to ensure that we never get ourselves discussing this? Because remember, we had Bombolulu, we had, and a list of them. And we must come to a situation and now say, how exactly do we want to do things differently? But we cannot do things the same way and expect different results. We will still go back to it. What have children done? we still go to take them back to that congested dorms. We still go back to that constricted space. Because remember, I think I remember it was still this situation of school fires that led us to change prefects. The Nyeri High situation led us from changing from prefects to school presidents that are democratically elected. And so on. It served us for some time. So now looks like we're having a new challenge that has to sit us down together and wonder, now how do we deal with this? What other strategy do we want to employ? And we implement changes as we go by. But we cannot remain with the policies of 2010 and still think that they will serve us in 2025, 15 years or 20 years down the line. I think we are running late of thing. And the only thing that we are doing is when something happens, now we sit down and apportion blame. You were supposed to have done this, but you did not do it. You were supposed to have done this, but you did not do it. And a lot of the blame now is going to the children. And I'm just sitting here and wondering, really, what have the children done? The children find they have touched the dome. It is really bad. It is really bad. And every child should face the consequences. But do we bother for things to get there? Don't we have channels? Even within the children themselves. Nobody could leak. Nobody could talk to their parents. But no, because why? You have locked our children in school and nobody has a phone that they can tell their mother, Mama, there is this that is happening in the school. You know, we really have to. We have to do things differently. Yeah. We have to do things differently that no child could have communicated to their parent. We don't think it's a problem at this age of communication, of this age that information instantly is going out. Don't we think that there is a problem there?
Dr. Ahmed, when we talk about then, because here we are, so 100 and so odd schools have closed. There are many schools that are having the conversation right now about closing early for the midterms. So let's do exams quickly this week and let's diffuse the situation. Everybody goes home, calms down. But are we going to solve the problem? If there's this